Hello, everybody. It is Road to Recovery, and today I am going to be covering the patterns of porn addiction. These patterns are published by PAA, Porn Addicts Anonymous. And why am I doing this? Well, if you're maybe on the ropes about whether or not you have an addiction or not, I'm hoping this document is going to help shed some light for you. Every time I read this document, it sheds a lot of light for me. As a matter of fact, every time I talk about this, I'm just like, oh, wow, yeah, I did have that problem. So hopefully by me reading this to you, you'll be able to take something away from it and maybe even identify with some of these patterns. Well, let's start. So let's start with the viewing and seeking patterns. Seeking additional pornographic material regardless of what is already available. Spending money consuming pornography regardless of its effects on our financial situation. Collecting pornography in its various formats no matter how much we already have obtained and currently possess. Endlessly seeking the perfect material. Addiction patterns. Viewing to escape feelings. Spending more and more time seeking pornography without the availability to determine when to stop. Hiding pornographic media, whether digital or physical, to ensure that we are never found out. Covering our digital tracks on our devices. Isolating from friends and family. Changing activities and plans to accommodate our active addiction. Neglecting obligations, commitments, and our own needs or needs of others. Needing pornography prior to or during sexual activity with a partner or ourselves. Going to physical viewing locations to obtain a fix. Purging our computers, devices, and homes of pornographic materials after a binge. Behavioral patterns. Inability to sleep without viewing. Having to view pornographic material prior to leaving our place of residence. Viewing late at night so no one will notice. Fantasizing about anonymous partners. Inappropriate sexually oriented comments and jokes. Losing interest in our sex life with our partners. Justification, low self-esteem patterns. I could never get a date anyway. No one likes me. This is safer. Who would like me? I am too blank for anyone. I am not enough of a blank for anyone. Denial patterns. I'm not affecting anyone else, only me. I'm not hurting anyone. It will be manageable this time. It's not that bad. I can stop whenever I want to. At least with pornography, I always get what I want. I get it whatever I want it. It's always there for me. I'm going to end up doing it sooner or later. All right, so every time I read that, it's impactful for me. As a matter of fact, if you haven't had the opportunity to do so already, go up and listen to Stories of a Porn Addict, because a lot of the things that are said here are the exact same sort of patterns that I exhibited during my addiction. So, for example, like the hoarding, that was definitely something that I did. The endlessly seeking the perfect material, again, guilty as charged. And there were some things that I didn't do. For example, I was not one who purchased pornography. I went out and tried to find the free stuff. But that was, I think, more emblematic of the type of person that I was. If you looked at my behavior patterns, you would quite clearly see that there was addiction involved. Like I couldn't stop what I was doing. Um, Especially when it comes to the time component of things, as you can hear from the addiction patterns, there's a lot of coveting of not only the material itself, but also the process surrounding it, which we know from, if you've heard some of my other videos regarding the habit cycle. Once that habit cycle becomes fixed, what happens is that you tend to spend more time in the actual habit structures than the actual consumption of the pornography. So this coveting that happens of the the entire process, the habitual cycles. They like to call it the routine, right? The routines that we engage in, they start to occupy more and more time as the patterns grow along and the addiction starts to get long in the tooth. Things like isolating from family and friends, guilty as charged. Going to physical viewing locations. I mean, in this modern day, who doesn't do that, right? You probably take your device and drop off to a random room. But it's that process of separating yourself from other people and the concept of isolation, which in and of itself is not the addiction. It's just part of the bigger puzzle. The constant purging, oh man, was I like I would fill up my hard drive, max that sucker out, and to the point where my operating system no longer worked, and I had to go in and just like purge everything just so I could make the computer functional again. Inability to sleep without viewing, I did that to the very end. I did that to the very end. Viewing late at night so that no one will notice, guilty as charged. Inappropriate sexual oriented comments and jokes. I didn't do this so much, but for a lot of addicts, this is a very common thing. What happens is that your boundaries start to get eroded over time, and so what seems to be funny to you, the things that you would keep hidden or maybe just see on a phone all the time, now all of a sudden you're thinking that way, and so gradually these jokes and humor start to slip out of your mind, slip out of the meme verse, and start to come out into the open. And while it might be seem funny to you from a first person perspective, the person who doesn't have that problem, that can correctly assert moral boundaries, they're looking at you like, dude, what did you just say? That's part of the problem. It's changing gradually your behavior patterns. And then there's the justification of low self-esteem patterns, and I would say that for me, a lot of this may have manifested early in my adulthood as I became um, an older person. I would say the less so, but the beginnings of my addiction patterns, certainly the thing that your own personal perception that no one likes you, like it, all these other people don't like me, ergo I have a low self-esteem, ergo I'm going to go medicate myself through pornography. Who would like me? I am too blank for everyone. I mean, who of us doesn't go through it every once in a while, but once it starts becoming habitual, like you keep on going into that same pattern of thinking, that can contribute to your porn addiction. I'm not affecting anyone else, only me. The denial patterns, every single one of these, every single one of these I'm guilty of. And as a matter of fact, I could probably add some to the PAA list. So, I relate to a lot of this, and I hopefully you get something out of it. PAA is the only one that I know of that actually has the patterns of porn addiction. Like they focus exclusively on it. But and I would encourage you, if you have the opportunity, to visit a PAA meeting if you think porn addiction is your problem. But SAA, fantastic organization. SLAA, fantastic organization. All of them take on porn addicts, so don't feel like you're limited to just PAA. As a matter of fact, the PAA organization, they use the SAA Big Book, so that's how ingrained those two are. As a matter of fact, a lot of my sponsees, I've told them before, like, hey, go to an SAA meeting, man. They're using the same materials we are, and there's no one inside of an SAA meeting who's going to kick you out, because a lot of the guys in that room have either your addiction or part of their addiction is what you're going through right now. So anyway, I hope this information helped you. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them below or email me at road2recovery11@yahoo.com. Again, that's road2recovery11@yahoo.com. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. That helps with the algorithm, helps me be able to reach out to other porn addicts who might be needing assistance. I make no money doing any of this. This is all part of my 12th step of reaching back out. Take care, and please stay on that road to recovery.